sports movies and business movies have some interesting things in common. In both of them, you've got a built-in structure around which to tell your story and within which to tell your story. And in both of them, you've got preset goals with which to determine and to establish what are the stakes, who are the players, what are their motivations. And on the one hand, that can make certain kinds of sports and business movies a little bit stale. On the other hand, it can sometimes give you enough space to develop other things about the characters and develop a really interesting story within that structure. I think constraints of a structure like that can do wonders for storytelling. So when you combine the structures of sports and of business, that can turn into a very interesting movie. And that's why for this Drafthouse Diary, on Monday, April 10th, I went to the Alamo Drafthouse at Littleton's Aspen Grove to see Air, directed by Ben Affleck, starring Matt Damon and Jason Bateman, with Affleck and with Chris Tucker in supporting roles. And it was, I enjoyed this movie a lot. It reminded me very much of the movie Ford versus Ferrari, another sports plus business movie I liked very much, another movie starring Matt Damon. So I appreciated the fact that for Matt Damon's character in this movie, he had a little blue Shelby Cobra on top of his computer monitor, a little nod to Ford versus Ferrari. I liked that. But this movie, Air, is set in 1984 at the Nike company. Nike, at the time, a very successful, recently public billion-dollar company, making shoes and well-known and very successful in the running field and track and field sports, but with a struggling basketball shoe division, a distant third to Adidas and Converse. And Matt Damon plays Sonny Vaccaro, Nike's basketball scout, who's going out to find young players with whom Nike can sign endorsement deals. And they've got a pretty small budget, but at the same time, they are tasked with bringing in athletes who are going to be stars and who are going to help build this basketball division. So we have some really important stakes here. We've got Vaccaro, and we've got his boss, played by Chris Tucker, who is the head of athlete relations for the basketball division, and Jason Bateman's character, who is the head of the basketball division. They need to make something happen with this division, or they could be out of work. The division could be shut down. And Vaccaro wants to persuade people to put all of the budget they have and all of the resources they can to recruiting one specific basketball player who he believes is going to be a superstar and who's about to launch his NBA career. And he's essentially betting his job, his friends' jobs, and this division at Nike on this one athlete. And that athlete is Michael Jordan. And this is about the birth of the Air Jordan line of basketball shoes. And I like the fact that Michael Jordan isn't really a character in this movie. He's kind of a force of nature, this thing they have to deal with. He's beyond the humans whose story this is. We see he's involved in some of the meetings we see towards the end of the movie. We never see his face. We only see him either from behind or from a distance. The characters with whom the people from Nike are dealing are primarily Jordan's parents, specifically his mother, who is sort of his business manager and who knows her son's value and what he's going to do. She has tremendous confidence in him and tremendous savvy, not just to take some deal from a shoe company because it sounds good. She's a tough negotiator, but she's honest and she recognizes and responds to honesty. So she and Vaccaro are able to establish a rapport. She agrees to take meetings. It's still going to be up to Michael Jordan to make these decisions, but she is his very strong-willed advisor in all of this. The plot itself plays out in a fairly straightforward way. For either a sports movie or a business movie, there are ups and downs, and there's the need to persuade higher ups to go along with this deal, the need for everybody to pitch in on this deal in order to make it work, the need to really have a good I don't want to say sales pitch, a good message to present to Michael Jordan as to why you should come to this company, why you shouldn't sign a deal that's just as lucrative with an Adidas or a Converse, who are by far the bigger basketball shoe programs out there. And I liked it all comes down to, can you like the characters? And I did like these characters. Matt Damon, he's a flawed person who is really trying to do something that he believes in, as in the character of Sonny Vaccaro. Chris Tucker, somebody who recognizes that about Sonny Vaccaro and is willing to support that. Ben Affleck's portrayal of Phil Knight, the founder and CEO of Nike, that was fun because he is willing to portray Phil Knight as somebody who he's accomplished a lot. He founded what is now $1 billion company at the time of this movie. And yet he's still so insecure, he has to remind people that he's important, and he's concerned that people are not recognizing his importance. Trust me, you're the head of a $1 billion company. Everybody knows you're important. The more you have to tell them, the more goofy and unimportant you seem. And Affleck kind of gets into that character. He knows this is a fun way to portray this character. He plays it straight and yet shows the goofiness of this character and lets that come through. So he's not on screen a lot, but when he is, he's both cringy and we get a lot of humor out of that. I do have one gripe about this movie, and it's something you see too often in movies that are set sometime in the last several decades, from, say, the 60s onward, maybe even the 50s. And that is, if it's a period piece, they start the movie with this montage of video clips from the time. So this is set in 1984. So we get this montage of news clips and TV commercials and sports broadcast clips and television bits. And just to kind of hammer home, this is 1984. This movie is set in 1984. Look at all this stuff that happened in 1984. And I don't think it's effective, because anybody who remembers any of these things, they remember 1984. You can establish in setting and dialogue and wardrobe, the things movies are made out of, where and when this movie takes place. If you absolutely have to, you can throw some text on the screen. Beaverton, Oregon, 1984. And let's get on with the story. We don't need this long montage of commercials that, if I remember 1984, which I'm old enough to do, I don't need all these reminders of what 1984 was like. And if I was young enough that I don't remember 1984, these clips are going to be meaningless to me. I'm not going to know the Dunkin' Donuts guy, and I'm not going to know the Where's the Beef Wendy's commercial necessarily. It stops the movie before it even gets going. If you want to see this done better, take a look at the Apple TV original movie Tetris. It's set in 1988. And they use clever filmmaking techniques to establish that this takes place in 1988, what the world of 1988 is like, and what sort of business environment this takes place in. They don't have to give us 3 minutes of TV clips from 1988 in order to set us there. So that's my one strong criticism of this movie. It's only of the first couple of minutes of the movie, but I just wish directors would get over that, and they would trust the audience, they would trust their dialogue, they would trust everybody involved in putting the movie on screen to establish and understand where we are and what is the time and what is the setting. Well, it's good to get that out of my system. But this is a Drafthouse Diary, so I've got more to say about my visit. But first, if you enjoyed this, please consider clicking like down below. And if you want more Drafthouse Diaries in the future, consider subscribing. But as for the rest of my visit, the pre-show was, again, it was kind of predictable, but well selected. It was a lot of clips, some clips from interviews of Michael Jordan, clips about references to Air Jordans, a long montage of scenes and clips from movies and television referencing and featuring either Nike shoes in general or Air Jordans in particular. Of course, there were some clips of Michael Jordan on screen in movies, some bits from Space Jam, of course. So it was a fun, that did a better job of putting me back in the world in which this movie takes place than that montage at the beginning of the film did. So, and even then, as nice as Alamo Drafthouse pre-rolls are, they're not necessary to set me in the period for a period movie. Anyway, I don't want to go off on that tangent again. For food, I did have some food there, and I had those Berbere spiced wings again. Those are terrific. They're one of the best things I've had at the Alamo. They're on their limited time menu, so I wanted to make sure I had them again. And if you're interested in a more detailed review of those wings, you can take a look at this review of A Knock at the Cabin, when I also had the Berbere spiced wings. And when I talk about not only that movie, but a very, very strange Alamo pre-show that they put before A Knock at the Cabin. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with more soon. And in the meantime, enjoy your movies. And when you do, stay till the end of the credits.